Hi, I'm Gardner Morse, Senior Editor at Harvard Business Review, and I'm delighted to have John Quelch here with me today. John's been a professor at Harvard Business School since 1979, and he's known worldwide for his research on global marketing and branding. He's an author or editor of 25 books, most recently Greater Good, How Good Marketing Makes for Better Democracy. He's also a prolific blogger and frequent contributor to HBR and has the lead article in our April issue. It's called How to Market in a Downturn, which we'll be talking about now. John, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Gardner.
Okay, there are two broad issues that we want to get at. The first is consumer psychology in a recession. The second is how does an understanding of that psychology inform marketing strategy? So let's start with consumer psychology. Understanding what makes consumers tick, companies have been paying attention to this forever. What's different now?
I think what's different this time is the potential length and depth of this recession. In the recent Consumer Confidence Index report, the key indicator fell to 25. That is the lowest it has been since the Consumer Confidence Index was launched over 40 years ago. So this is a very, very tough downturn, and I think that the behaviors that consumers may have used in previous downturns to navigate their way through their short-term problems may not be a sufficient guide this time to what is going to happen in this particular recession.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the article, you suggest that the traditional ways that companies segment their customers, maybe by lifestyle demographics, aren't necessarily as relevant as segmenting them according to their emotional reaction to the downturn. Can you talk about the 4 ways that you suggest segmenting customers psychologically?
Yes, I'd say, first of all, to preface that the segmentation scheme that you've been using prior to the recession is obsolete, and that most companies need to go out and re-talk to their customers and reframe their segmentation approach. In the paper, what we say is that we've identified 4 types of consumer groups. The first group is a group that we call slam on the brakes. These are consumers who have really been devastated by the recession. They've either lost their job or they know someone who's lost their job. They've perhaps lost a lot of money in terms of a meltdown of their 401k valuation, and they are basically doing nothing at this stage but just buying bare necessities to get themselves from one week to the next. Everything else they've put on hold. A second group of consumers we call pained but patient. Yes, they have had difficulty, yes, they have had financial loss, but broadly speaking, they're optimistic for the longer term, and while they are adjusting their short-term consumer behavior, they are hoping to see light at the end of the tunnel. The third group we call Live for Todayers. The Live for Today group tends to be younger, more urban. They haven't saved that much, and therefore they haven't lost that much in the meltdown. Being single people, they're going to carry on with a fun-oriented lifestyle and not adjust their consumer behavior in response to the recession until the day they lose their job. And then their behavior will have to change overnight. And then the final group is what we call the comfortably well. These are people who have a sufficient cushion financially to see them through the recession. Alternatively, they may have been fortunate enough not to have been heavily invested in the market when it melted down. And as a result, they are pretty much carrying on as normal, though perhaps not exhibiting too ostentatiously the fact that they are well off. So these 4 groups we see as being very important in terms of enabling marketers to understand better how to respond to consumers and consumer psychology in this current crisis.
Now, your income doesn't necessarily place you into one of these groups.
That's correct. That's correct. Neither your demographic nor your lifestyle necessarily places you into any of these groups, except that I think it would be fair to say that the Live for Today crowd does tend to be a younger urban crowd.